We wanted to learn a new thing, and that new thing was 3D, but we didn't know how. We looked into VR sculpting. We started experimenting with it, and it kind of changed the trajectory of everything.
We really quickly figured out we have to just start making stuff. Therefore, we can grow as creators.
And we were like, oh, we must have done something right, It really snowballed into kind of a full-time studio. We want to keep on learning. Everything you've just done is really boring, and we want to go to the next thing.
What caught my eye was the puppeteering stuff in Blender.
We went to sleep, and then I just all of a sudden was like, Vikki, we have to make a puppet in Blender. It was a lot more difficult than we thought. Don't overthink.
Do things that you like.
Oh, stop! Stop!
Hey guys.
Hi. You look very high quality over there.
Everyone says that. Steve, what have you done to me?
I make this look good.
Happy Friday. Welcome to the VFX Process.
Woo.
Woo.
Friday is also Finn Day. That's our intern.
He's probably just going to duck in his head.
Hey man.
That's Finn.
Guys, can you just give us a lovely introduction of who you are and what you do?
So we're YONK, this is Niels, and I'm Vikki. We're a two-man studio, but we're not all men, so two-person studio. We're based in The Hague in the Netherlands, which is famous for convicting war crimes. But it's also the city of peace. So it's very peaceful here. We get a lot of stuff done. We started YONK back in 2019, I guess, was kind of the first sort of version of it. And we started it because we were both graduated. So Niels graduated in graphic design. I graduated in fine art. And we wanted to kind of have our own studio. We were doing these part-time jobs at the time. And we really wanted to have a creative outlet that we could put our time, weekends, nights into, The thing is we always wanted to learn something new. That's something that's been consistent. We want to keep on learning. Everything you've just done is really boring, and we want to go to the next thing. I don't know, maybe it shows that we don't focus. I don't know. But we're just so excited by everything. So we're we got to do this next. Yeah, so we wanted to learn a new thing, and that new thing was 3D. But we didn't know how. I mean, probably everyone has that moment when they open up Blender or Cinema 4D and you're like, what?
Yeah.
What is this? It's definitely a scary space. So then we looked into kind of VR sculpting, and that felt way more fun and intuitive. So Niels actually bought a VR headset whilst I was at work secretly.
It took ages to convince her. So at some point, I just bought it.
Yeah. So Niels just snuck in a VR headset. I came home and he was playing, I think the Spider-Man game. Oh, okay, now we have a VR headset. And then he was like, yeah, but you can do this really fun thing in it. We started experimenting with it. And it basically just made our whole process go 10 times quicker, because we were just put the thing on, you're in a studio space. You've got two hands, play, you've got all your other tools in the other hand, and you can just be boop, 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 boop. And it's 3-dimensional space, which is really important. It kind of changed the trajectory of everything.
It was kind of a cheat for us because we needed to learn 3D, but you don't want to do the donut tutorial and stuff,
Yeah.
And you kind of want to start with stuff that you actually want to make. I think that's way better to learn a new medium and then figure out how to get there throughout.
Kind of work backwards as such.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, we're just cheating.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So we're just all based on lies.
I mean, there's no, you're doing this right, you're doing that wrong. It's all a creative process, And if you find one way a lot more what you prefer, then that's amazing.
So that's how we started. And then we just started pushing out work on Instagram, obviously.
Yeah.
What was the kind of first things that you were posting, and what was the first 3D software? What was it? Blender, you mentioned earlier, Vikki.
Yeah. So, we both messed about a little bit. You were also in cinema, right?
No.
You've always been a Blender boy. Oh, okay. Sorry, Niels. I'll never offend you in that way ever again. But I actually started out in cinema. Niels was like, Blender's Dutch. We should work with Blender. And it's free, which is insane, because the guy who owns Blender is an absolute legend.
Ton Roosendaal, the legend.
We're a huge fan. We send him mail sometimes.
Does he ever respond?
No.
Just keep sending.
Yeah, I think some of the first work, I don't even know if it's still on our Instagram, but
it is, yeah. It's
the logo.
But there's some really wacky stuff on there, but it's all it doesn't make any sense. It was just us like doing something for the sake of creating and not like overthinking. We just really quickly figured out like we have to just start making stuff. Therefore we can like grow as creators.
The one defining moment, I think, was the kind of work we did for Demo Festival. They host this festival celebrating motion. So if anyone makes anything that moves, the submissions are just now open.
We're part of the jury.
Yeah,
so.
and we're part of the jury.
That was the first thing for us. We were like, okay, we're doing all this wacky stuff, but maybe we need a little bit more of a brief, right?
Yeah, limitations and stuff.
Limitations, and like this limitation was like, okay, well, it's like has to be this many seconds, but what is actually happening on the screen doesn't matter. And then we made these weird aliens with these weird eyes.
Yeah,
they kind of moved around, and they kind of looked like typography to people.
They actually don't move that much, considering it's a motion festival.
Yeah,
and we still got in. Yeah,
minimalism.
Yeah, minimalist movement.
Yeah.
Like there was like a moment they did these like full screen takeovers where the whole kind of like festival would show your work. And they did ours for like quite a while. And we were like, oh, we must have done something right, you know?
Was this the first time you'd moved anything?
Yeah, no, the first time.
I think it was the first time.
Because we just rotated the eyes.
Did you have the name YONK then?
Yeah.
So until you started rotating that object, then you could put animation studio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of popped off and it was like used as kind of like their main advertising picture. So we were like, oh, okay, we're kind of onto something here. And that's kind of like what changed the trajectory, because after that, then sort of jobs started coming in and they really snowballed into kind of like a full-time studio.
What was next for you? Was the other people asking you to animate, or?
At some point you start getting like client work, and they would just like ask these like insane stuff, like, can you do this? Can you do this? And we would say yes to everything.
Of course.
And just put ourselves, of course. Yeah. And then put ourselves in a really awful situation where you have to all of a sudden animate a character or something within like a week, and we had never done it before. And that helped us a lot to like actually get into the animation part. So we forced completely upon ourselves.
It was a bit of a pressure cooker.
Yeah, it was a pressure cooker for sure.
We tried to kind of mask the fact that we weren't good animators by doing like little tricks. So like we worked out that we could attach like the VR controller to like a camera and create a handy cam. So yeah, there was all these kind of things that we thought, or maybe we could just disguise this. We get another job that is a little bit harder and we have to do something else. And then like recently now we've finally worked in Houdini. We're just constantly challenging ourselves. And that's what also with all the kind of personal little things that we do on our Instagram, like all these little tests. It's like, oh, we think of a really fun idea and then we're like, oh, we should just like try and make that happen and just figure it out.
And what are your main like tool sets? Is it you jump straight into the VR workspace, or is that for like particular things? Do you always sculpt?
Always.
In the VR world?
Yeah, we're hooked. I don't think we'll ever go to 2D sculpting. I don't know. It just like it makes so much sense to us, and it's also a part of the style now as well.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
We also don't know any better, so we have no choice.
Yeah.
What caught my eye was the puppeteering stuff in Blender. You're using VR and you've got these controllers. Was that the natural connection there?
Totally. We have all these like gestural movements when we're making work already. And then it was like, okay, well, we have this device. We can use it for animation somehow, you know? And we knew that like there was this way of getting into Blender via VR.
What's the add-on called for that? Because I remember seeing that like a few years ago. I only opened it for like 5 minutes.
Freebird XR.
Okay.
The add-on was just for implementing VR into Blender, so you could work with the interface with the VR headset. But we're currently talking with him a lot over Discord, and now he's like completely rewriting some stuff that is just like about that you can do live stuff within Blender, and it's really, really sick.
Oh, you're putting the heads on?
Yeah, why not?
So this is what headset and what kind of hardware stuff do you have at the moment?
So this is the MetaQuest Pro. This one is really nice because it's essentially, you're not so closed in. So as you can see, like Niels, it has like a space underneath his eyes, because obviously if you're in VR a lot, it can get kind of hot and sweaty to have these glasses on the whole time. So these ones are a little bit more, I guess, for like working instead of gaming, but you can do it with any of the Meta headsets. And then we're just plugging that into a PC that has like, I don't even know what's in this one. some
graphics cards.
some graphic cards in there.
Oh, plural. See, you're running.
Actually,
No, I
just
think
one.
it's just one. We're not gonna flex. We definitely just have one, I think. But we use a program called Adobe Medium. There's also a newer version called Adobe Substance Modeler. So you do need a PC for the juice and getting everything kind of running.
The juice.
The juice.
Yeah, so that's what that bird puppet thing that we did. So basically, we first set it up so like these are all like cloth simulations. There's these little threads over here, and they connect to like different parts, and these are just like rigid bodies. So if you play it, it should drop. Yeah, so now I'm just moving it with my mouse. So we set this up first, that we can just move the bird with our cursor.
What was it like seeing that for the first time? I imagine it didn't just work straight off the bat, but
No,
that must have been so cool to kind of get that working, you know?
Yeah, we were instantly like, okay, this is so cool. This is also one of those ideas that like we went to sleep, and then I just all of a sudden was like, Vikki, we have to make a puppet in Blender.
That was true, actually. And I was like, okay, tomorrow.
It was a lot more difficult than we thought. Yeah, so like the creator of Freebird XR, so he's now currently working on this little tool that makes everything a lot easier, because like basically we just grabbed this cross that we have in Blender and then just moved it around. But now you can way more easily set like certain parameters. So for example, I can say, okay, the right controller over here, it should be attached to, well, this thing, the controller, that's all I need to do. And then he also is currently working on adding actions. So for example, if you wanted to, well, this one already has the shape key of the mouth opening and closing.
Oh, yeah.
The first time we did it, he just helped us out with some code, but now this is so much easier. I can just do right trigger.
Oh, so that's programs. So when you open them, if you assign it to a button, basically.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I can say an action, and I say whilst pressing, set a shape key, and then boop, and then I just select this one. This is now going to follow my hand.
Oh.
Well, there we go.
Oh.
So you can. This is the first time trying it. So yeah, you can see that
he's looking a bit sad. I'm not gonna lie.
the rotation is a bit off and stuff.
It's so cool to see though, working like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the mouth is already connected to my trigger, so I can just.
If you like did a performance with this, can you record keyframes so then you can play it back like a baked?
This is baking the cloth.
That's baking the
So
cloth.
that's what we did before. So we would actually just bake the cloth. Oh yeah, you can see this now. This is baked, but now what he's done, he helped us out. So now you can just like record all the locations and rotations of this object. So you just get all these keyframes over here. Like at first we just used his add-on, not necessary for what it was meant for. But we thought it was really cool that you could grab something. And then he saw it and he instantly helped us with like making it more into like a puppet tool. So that's really cool.
What's it like coming into the real world after you've been in the VR world? Do you ever think this is boring, I'm going to go back in there? Or
sometimes it can be a relief depending on the temperature. Temperature's a big thing. If it's very hot, it's insanely hard to be in VR.
Yeah.
We did a project for Nike, and Nike really likes to have like replicas of their shoes, which makes a lot of sense. That's kind of what they're selling at the end of the day. So I was in there making a shoe for like 5 hours,
Really?
like one single shoe. And then I went in and it was daylight and it was winter, and I came out and it was dark. And I was like, where have I been?
So sad.
That's a lot. That really can like throw you, I think. But now we're getting quicker and quicker at it. So we're actually not in it. We're still in it a lot, but we're not in it as much as we used to be. That's for sure.
what's this one, Niels?
This is just a test we did super recently. We have like an Xbox controller, and then like something simple like a car. We're now setting something up that, for example, so I can just move this car with the Xbox controller, and it just makes it so much more fun to do animation. And actually, we're now trying to see if we have like the entire steering wheel set up. We really want to like have the whole setup with the car that we can drive it. So we have the clutch and stuff, and we have gas pedals, and like just have some kind of interaction. And that's something we want to continue with in the future as much as possible.
Planning to do kind of a whole short where everything is kind of like live production. Also using geometry nodes to kind of like make things like appear and just, like just really making it like a bit wild.
Talking about your style, like you just showed me that there, Niels, like in a lot of your work, it's got that like stop motion-y, like physical.
Yeah, that's why we made that stop motion add-on as well. Like we love the more like kind of childish look to things, you know, like things like are a bit wobbly, a little bit off, like some imperfections in a sense. We love that's our jam. We tend to follow Bob Ross's his legacy and be like,
We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents.
I think with Adobe Medium is that like it kind of like, because it feels like clay-like or like foam-like almost when you're spraying it out, it naturally becomes like very tactile and lumpy and
because if you're layering something on or you want to add something to it, I guess naturally as you would add it as clay or whatever the text the material is.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like the same, but like minus all the mess. When we made the stop motion add-on, it was just like a simple thing where I turned around to Niels one day and was like, oh, we have this like clay-like substance already. Can we put it in motion? And like we've kind of done it maybe the most silly way of making stop motion.
Well, yeah,
because we don't have a rig in anything or like, and it's just sheer like frame by frame.
It's just pure meshes.
It's just pure meshes.
Individual meshes. So it's like every single frame resculpt the same thing we want to animate. So every frame is actually a different mesh in the end.
It makes me want to cry a little bit sometimes, but
Yeah.
it's like still very fun. It gave us a nice result. So then, we started developing the add-on to kind of, because people took a great interest in it, and we were like, oh, it would be really fun if we could kind of make something that people could do it. Also, it's kind of weird because we have done all this like 3D animation now, and now it feels like we have to go back to like what kind of like maybe was like old school animation. Like now I'm going back on like Procreate Dreams and like trying to just experiment with just like drawing stuff out again to learn how to like bring that into 3D.
It's another way to kind of come up with ideas, isn't it? Express things and just experiment and play around with stuff visually. You guys talking about all that stuff, I'm so used to like WASD, spacebar, clicking.
Yeah.
To just free that up and just do this rather than this, you know.
So you have to give something up inside yourself to be like accepting that it's not going to be perfect, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's only for people who love that type of approach, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you definitely you shouldn't be a perfectionist.
You know what's funny? Because say in the VFX world, you know, they do a CG render. It's then you're going beyond that and adding in the imperfections to make it more real.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
I never thought about it that way, but that's 100% like a lot of, in 3D or a lot of creative mediums. You try to bring, you also 2D animation, putting like noise over it, makes it look a bit sexier. It's kind of funny that we have this tendency to just like make things look a little bit off. But the process beforehand is trying to make something perfect. I think we do it like opposite, and then we like, oh, this is too shit, and we try to make it a little bit better. Stop motion obviously is a very old technique that we now using new mediums for to recreate. For textures, for example, you can download some black and white stamps like online, but it's way more fun to get some crayons out and like do it yourself. There's something there that people can see the amount of love that's been put in there, and it's just fun for yourself to make the process a lot more interesting.
We constantly want to change it up, so I think we're also always searching, and we've been a bit obsessed with like analog stuff quite recently, just like kind of like going through each one and being like, okay, how can we put this into our process now, like with the crayons, like Niels said, because there's just so much to explore.
One of the things I find the most interesting seeing in other people's work is when they use programs or like software, hardware they used it in a way that's not meant to be used in a sense. Like super simple example, but our intern wanted to make an animation. He did it in PowerPoint with like slides.
Ah, brilliant.
I love like an approach like that. And it's the same with VR. It's kind of like still looked at like, oh, this is a gaming tool type thing, but not so much a creative tool, which is super insane to me. Like, I don't understand why it hasn't taken over the world yet.
Slowly but surely in the VR world.
Personally, I know Vikki as well. We just love if someone does something that
surprises.
Yeah, not the conventional way. That reminds me of one of my favourite animators called David O'Reilly.
Oh, yeah.
His stuff is some of my favourite.
Yeah.
So cool.
You should calm down.
You should calm down.
Yeah, come on.
He's that good, he should calm down.
Yeah.
He's gone on to do, I think, like, did you play that game? I think the game is called Everything.
Yeah, it's insane. It's also a perfect example of someone who just like doesn't limit themselves to one medium. And it's the same for Julian
Glender?
Julian Glender.
But he made a game called Art School. Really, really fun. Really playful style as well. And he's just made a feature animation. So
Amazing. I'll check him out.
We dipped in this as well, so we have like this whole startup of a game, but it's still not finished. It's been taking like years.
It's a long process.
Do you get clients that go, can you create something that looks just like this?
They always reference our work.
We're really lucky. Maybe there'll be a couple more different references in the deck, but they might send us a special deck that's aimed towards us and then see. But it's usually a lot of our work and then maybe a couple more stuff to kind of get the idea. But like, they really come to us for us.
No, that's good. We wanted to touch on geometry nodes and like back to like experimenting and playing around and kind of doing things in a way that you don't have to hand model it. What was it like for the first time exploring blenders like geometry nodes and generating things that way?
It was pretty wild.
Yeah.
I can't remember the first thing we did. I think.
Yeah, we just did some simple fur stuff.
Yeah, and that added a whole new element because we'd always struggled with like Blender's hair simulation. It was kind of wild to just see how well it ran. Also with our sculptures, because sometimes our sculptures, especially if it's an illustration, can be very heavy.
Like me, for example, like I have a little bit of coding background, but I'm not a good coder at all. But with geometry nodes, it makes so much sense. Same in Unreal Engine with their blueprint system. It's just so handy. And like if you have that, it's so cool. I love geometry nodes. We don't use it enough still.
Yeah, we're not like Will.
I was made in geometry nodes.
We're not like Will, but like it's so solid in our process, especially if we want to do something like that car we shown. Like that's all geometry node based. And then like it instantly makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
And it's just lovely because it's the whole community, everyone is sharing all the geometry node setups. And like, for example, we have like almost like weekly meetings with Mr. Will Anderson Jr., where we just like talk geometry nodes. And making your own tool is just something very sexy about it. Just like being like, oh, now I've made this whole setup for this thing, and look, I can easily change things.
Yeah.
Like, look at all these variables that I created. And it's like, you can get super lost in that, I feel.
Totally.
Yeah.
Do you go to like the community and put your work out there or ask people like, how do you do this? Or do you try and just do stuff yourself?
We like to struggle and
We do like to struggle.
suffer a little bit.
Yeah. But we're not scared. I mean, like, we're not scared of asking people for help and stuff.
For example, we specifically for Houdini, and we dove into it. We're just playing around with it. And like one of our best friends, like Christopher Rutledge, he's an Houdini champ. Like he knows everything. It's kind of insane. We also don't want to bother him at the same time, even though we know he loves to help out. And then after a week or something of us trying to create like a simple ice cream simulation, we were like, yo, look, there need to be these little bits in the ice cream. Do you have time? Can you help us out with this? And then he sent us like this whole personal tutorial video, basically made the whole thing already for us, you know? It's like...
And I was like, Chris, I'm so sorry. I'm taking away time from your free time. And he's like, Vikki, you don't understand. I love this.
Oh man, amazing.
And the same goes for like Will, that like if we're talking geometry nodes, it's great to have friends around that like have that you can help out and the other way around.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's like the animation community in general. Everyone's like very helpful and very supportive.
It's disgusting how nice everyone.
Stop being so nice, everyone.
Also, like at animation festivals, everyone is so sweet. I'm like, calm down. Can we not have like feisty fights? We're all just nerdy sweethearts. I would love it if someone is like gatekeeping like some kind of technical things and like just like, no, I'm not telling you. Figure it out yourself.
Find out the hard way. You know, you don't like to necessarily always press Ctrl-Z and go back, and you find things out as you go. So what's that kind of like when you're working on like projects? Are you limited to like a set tools, or do you kind of experiment as you go? Because that's quite scary, I imagine.
Yeah, I think with every project, we try and approach it from a point that's like more kind of like, I guess, like interesting and fun for us. So we always try and think of something we can learn or do in this project. Like I think we did a project not so long ago and everything went so smoothly. It was just like, what? There we go. There's an animation and it was perfect. Client was happy. But we were like, that was too easy. Yeah, and we were not interested in it by the end. We were just like, that was way too easy. Like, we need like a challenge. So like, then we're sitting at Houdini being like, what? You know, like,
what are we doing here?
So like, I feel like we just constantly try and push. And it's really nice. I guess that's kind of also the joy of like the client kind of trusting you with your own style, so that you can kind of guide them into a position that they weren't in before or weren't thinking about. They also get pretty excited about it as well, usually. So yeah, we're always trying to like fit new processes in projects.
I've got a question from a follower of ours. They said, in relation to your work and on a personal level for both of you, how crispy is too crispy?
Nice. Who could that be?
I wonder who that is.
And then, do you want a crispy?
We always want the crispy.
Always a crispy.
Yeah.
It's part of the animation process.
Yeah.
When we first met Will, we met him at Pixelplasma, and he likes to drink. So
we also like to
have a beer, and Pixelplasma is where everyone has beers all the time. So he would always be like, does anyone want a wee crispy? I think it's the thing he says all the time. It's a crispy man.
What kind of advice can you give to somebody that's starting in the 3D world and wants to move stuff? Move stuff about?
I think it's very important to not be hard on yourself. Like we do sometimes do workshops with like people that like try out more 3D stuff, and everyone is like so hard on themselves and wants to make the most perfect work in the whole world. And like, this is going to be the best piece. This is what everyone will remember my name for this work. And it's like, don't yeah. I think it's way better to not put so much pressure on yourself and just start creating it first and pushing it out as well online. Like I think it's super important for people to see your stuff. Go scroll to our early work on Instagram. Yeah. You will laugh. Like it's really, really bad. I think everyone will anyway struggle with it. Like we now really want to make our first short. If the pressure is there, we're like, oh my God, this has to be the best short ever, you know?
But actually, we need to make the worst short ever to make the best short ever. Don't be scared to reach out to someone, ask for their process, ask how they do stuff, because I think that like as we said before, like everyone is so friendly in this space that like you gain so much knowledge. Oh yeah, another one, don't be worried that you're not going to find your style and stuff. Like me and Niels started out using assets from the internet, not even like sculpting at that point. Then we discovered the VR sculpting, then our style came. And still now our style is like changing. It's just anything we like. Just do things you like. That's it. That's the big advice.
Well, you need to have that bit for the edit. Yeah, so I'll do one. So for the epic intro, I'll be like, don't overthink.
Do things that you like. That's gonna be a great intro. Wow. Stop.
You're doing it all wrong.
I want to have like the epic, the epic intro you guys always do.
You know what? Everyone loves the intros. Steve, your editing looks so badass and fun and epic.
They really are. Yeah. Those intros are great.
What advice have you been given?
I never take any advice from anyone. Like, so it's very rare.
What?
No. Don't tell me what to do.
I heard this piece of advice, and I don't know who said it. And Niels likes to think I said it to myself. With the short, because it's so personal, it's like, I don't want to mess it up. And, we could do this a bit better. Like, someone said, like, treat yourself as the client. So, like, give yourself a brief, give yourself a deadline.
That's interesting because it is different when you are working on something for yourself. Do you ever show it to other people and go, what do you think?
Very often I show work to friends when we're having a drink. I just push it in their face and they're like, what do you think of this?
The truth comes out when you've had a crispy.
A wee crispy.
We do share. I think we share quite a lot. We're really we're not scared of sharing stuff, I think. But you can probably see that from our Instagram as well. We every single process has a follow-up video about how we did it.
Yeah.
Because we're just like, we should share that. That's really fun.
Yeah, like you say, people love to see cool stuff and how's it done and,
Yeah.
Well, guys, that was incredible. And I just want to say thank you for your time. That was really fun.
Oh, it was very fun. It's very nice talking to you.
So fun, yeah.
We should get some more shots for the intro thing.
Okay,
but just
really
into
yeah.
oh my God, we're off 3D. Just like people are like, whoa, what happened in the podcast? Like,
Yeah, Vikki, get Niels in a headlock.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, punch in. There you go. Get Finn to throw something at your face and. Steve, you've got the best intro material.
Yeah, please do. Please do. That's going to be a great intro.
Honestly, amazing to meet you guys and so fun. And thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you.
No worries, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. It's been really, really fun.
yeah, thank you for letting us talk about ourselves.
And doing stupid intros.
We love it. No, thanks, man. Well, have a good weekend. We'll catch up with you next week, man. Cheers, Niels. Cheers, Vikki. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.